And welcome back to the Financially Simple Experience. Friends, I have a different podcast today, a different experience that I want to share with you. Candidly, this is perhaps one of the top 5 most difficult podcasts or talking points that I've ever shared. Probably number 1 being the podcast I recorded right after my dad's unexpected death. Man, I'll never forget that time. But today's an emotional podcast for me. In fact, so much so that I really don't have anything in front of me. I have a couple of dates and just a thought. Since 2016, I've been working in and through the name Financially Simple. Since 2016, we have written hundreds, if not thousands, of blog posts. I have written articles through national publications, people like the Forbes or Kiplinger, very popular publication. My name has appeared there. I've recorded hundreds of hours of podcast. I've recorded hundreds of hours of video. It's been amazing for the ability to share my life and share my life we have. Holy cow. I would hear things and I would share them with you as I research and read, because you know me, I'm an avid learner. I would learn things that I could apply in my own business and then speak to you about it, how you can apply it in your business. And I've had this one overarching theme, and that is, can I impact people's lives? I've often said one of the saddest places to me is a cemetery, not because somebody's passed away. Yes, that is sad and burdensome for those who experience that. And I've been there multiple times this last period of my life. But it's sad because whoever has left this earth, there is wisdom that was captured in that individual's mind, life experiences that candidly the human race will remiss, that we'll be without. So I have tried this last period of years as I've recorded the Financially Simple Experience to pour in every bit of knowledge out of my head and into your life, the listener, so that you might glean just one inkling of information and somehow impact your life in a positive manner. That has been my mission. We've written the book, The Ultimate Sale. As many of you know, I sold a couple of businesses before I started Heritage Investors back in 2009. I've sold a couple of businesses before I started Heritage Business Advisors and Financially Simple. So this idea that we can grow a business to sell it was always in my mind. And as I worked with clients, as our team worked with clients, it was, how in the world can we impact people? And so we wrote the book, The Ultimate Sale, which received many different accolades from Amazon, several different positioning points, and it was sold internationally, to be printed internationally. As of late, we released the book, Your Baby's Ugly. The title today still makes me laugh because it was a statement that my dad made frequently. He would say, son, you never tell a woman their baby's ugly, but if you do, you better run or duck because they're coming after you, son. Sometimes you have to. So I wrote the book, Your Baby's Ugly, with the idea of trying to, as the old country saying said, hit somebody right in the eyes, right where it hurts. Just hit us across the face, knock some sense into us as business owners that, hey, our business is not as beautiful as we think it is. If we actually pause for a second and look at our business from the lens or through the lens of an investor, then it's no wonder that statistically only about 4% of business owners are happy after they sell their business, and less than 20% of us actually ever sell our business. But in the book, Your Baby's Ugly, I write about the 8 key areas of business that I learned through my education with corporate value metrics as I earned the Certified Value Growth Advisor designation. I took the principles I learned from the Certified Exit Planning Advisor designation, all the training there from that group and that think tank, and applied it into a book that hopefully can impact your lives. And it was amazing to see it listed as a #1 bestseller on Wall Street Journal and listed as a top 100 in the USA Today. Just inspiring to me. But candidly, none of the events, none of the work, nothing else in my business career can compare to the news that I'm about to release to you. It was the beginning of 2021. And just like any other year, we had our plans with my companies to go forth. We had already done our strategic plan. Here we are in February. My wife and I go across the state of Tennessee candidly to pick up a new vehicle. We just had a banner year in 2020, and it was time for me to have a new vehicle. Mine had died, and we drove across Tennessee and picked up a new truck. On the way back, we stopped at a gun show, an East Tennessee gun show, to go see what the wares were. About a week later, we realized that we had COVID. Now, it hit me really, really hard. I'm a big baby usually, but this one was over the top. I had about 3 weeks down. And in those 3 weeks, I battled about 105-degree temperature several times. Was sitting in the bathtub full of ice water, put ice cubes on my eyeballs because they literally felt like they were burning out of my head, trying to get my core temperature down as I'm fighting COVID. After my temperature fell, then my body broke out in hives. It was really weird. It was like I had chicken pox all over again. I don't know exactly what that was. Then I went through some serious weight loss, really ridiculous weight loss. I couldn't breathe. I would try to walk around the East Tennessee mountain and I just couldn't breathe. And later on, my voice waned. In fact, if you go back and listen to some of the podcasts from last year as I was recording them, you would hear my voice taking breaks and the raspiness come in because I lost my voice. I had to have speech therapy. But none of that compares to what my wife faced. Now, you've often heard me talk about Miss Emily. Miss Emily is everything to me. She is. I laugh oftentimes. I tell her if she ever leaves me, I'm going with her. And she says, what about the kids? It's like, they'll be okay. I'm going with you, girlie. Miss Emily is everything to me. But last year, after COVID, she went through it without much sickness, had a little bit of some basic symptoms that many people with COVID would have. We went out of town on a vacation like nothing had happened. Went on vacation in South Florida, went to a water park, spent a great time together, came back a week later, and we noticed bruising start appearing in her body. Bruises from her head to her toes. It was really weird. Really weird. We didn't know exactly what it was, so we scheduled an appointment with a doctor. I went out of town north, about 5 hours north of East Tennessee, and we're talking every day. I'm with clients, and on a Saturday morning, about 10:20 in the morning, I received a phone call from my mom, who happened to be with Emily, and she said, we're taking Emily to the hospital. She is critical. You need to get home now. Now, that is a different experience for somebody who's never faced much health issues whatsoever. Our family, for the most part, has been saved from any type of major health things. From both sides of our families. We've always lived a pretty healthy life. But to hear your mother talk about your wife that you need to get home now, it will pause your life and bring perspective. Now, to give you some context, my mom is not a novice with the world of medicine. She had multiple master's degrees in various fields of nursing. She knew what she was seeing on the lab reports and why my wife getting to the hospital was so dire. So needless to say, I hopped in the car and started driving home, only to receive a phone call that we're going to admit your wife and we're going to do everything we can. Yeah, everything we can. Let that sit there for a second. So I'm driving home and I'm talking to the doctor. I'm talking to my mom. I can't talk to my wife. We didn't know what we were facing. We didn't know what it was. At first they thought, well, it's cancer. Maybe it's leukemia. We don't know what it is. But nonetheless, she had 0 platelets in her body. Fast forward. After a period of 4 to 6 months, we're faced with this news that now we know what it is. COVID has caused the autoimmune system to pretty much eat the platelets, and there are 0 platelets at many times in your wife's body, which led to bleeding, excessive bleeding. At any moment, if she had fallen, if she had hit herself, she would have bled internally and died. So we had tried various medicines per the doctor's request, per the insurance company's request, and the medicines were killing my wife. we were faced with a decision of doing a surgery. And in this surgery, I watched my wife say goodbye to her kids. That's something that no parent should ever have to do. I'm sitting in a hospital amidst COVID as the only person able to be there, waiting for the surgeon to come out. He told me if we didn't come out within a certain time period, things went tragically bad. 45 minutes after that time mark, I still haven't heard. And so you can imagine me sitting in a hospital waiting to hear, is my wife even alive? Lo and behold, God worked a miracle. Everything went well. But in that moment, friends, just like I said last episode, that our attitude of success matters. During this event of our life, my wife and I drew even closer together. She was already my best friend, but we drew closer together, having faith that God was doing something beyond our control. And during this event, we started looking at, what does it matter? What does it matter? And I'm going to be very authentic today and a little bit more raw than I've ever been. What does it matter if I make another $1 million? What does it matter? What does it matter if our company, Heritage, ends up being the number one in the world? What does it matter? What does it matter if I pour my entire life into others? The question came about one day that I've said on the podcast over the last year that, Justin, if you had unlimited time and unlimited resources, what would you do tomorrow that you're not doing today? And as we thought about that question, it would ultimately come back to, I would speak and pour into as many people's lives as I could. The fact that we can reach our dreams. We don't have to forsake them. We can keep our families. We don't have to lose our families for the sake of money. We don't have to lose our hobbies. We don't have to lose our identity for the sake of trying to build wealth. And friends, I've seen so many people pour their life chasing the almighty dollar that their kids have nothing to do with them. They've gone through countless separations and divorces, and the heartache that comes from ripping a family apart is one that I never want to experience, but so many people have. Chasing the dollar. Now, I'm not saying that's the only reason. I'm not saying, please don't read into what I'm trying to say more than what I'm saying. But for the sake of the dollar, we don't have to sacrifice our family on the altar of success. We don't have to sacrifice our person on the altar of success. We don't have to sacrifice our dreams, our aspiration, our dreams, our who we are, the things we love doing on the altar of success. We don't have to do that. So throughout this year of 2021, as my wife and I are living through this journey that my wife may never see me again or her children again, that I could be a single father. I tell you, friends, it makes life surreal. While that's happening on our personal front, our business is exploding. Everything that we teach, and I've preached, if you will, on the financially simple experience that we've applied in our business was yielding results. We had a banner year in terms of revenue, in terms of profitability in the year 2021. I saw this back in January of 2021, and I hired a consultant. After much research, I had a dear friend say, you need to hire this individual because he has been where you want to be. He is going where you're headed. So I did some interviews, and I hired a gentleman by the name of Patrick Brewer, and a company called Model FA, Model Financial Advisor. And as I'm interviewing this individual and saying, okay, I want to hire you as a coach to come in and coach me as an owner and perhaps coach my team in the way that we coach our clients, I want to have someone else double check, triple check, and look for my blind side, look for the areas of my business that isn't quite where it needs to be. I want to position this where I can attract a top investor at some point in the future. And through those first few interviews, we're diving into our systems. And he makes this statement along with Mr. David DeSalle, who is my other advisor. They said, Justin, in your company has better systems and processes than companies 20 to 30 times your size. This is unbelievable. We're having a hard time poking holes through what you've created. Now, of course, that makes me feel good, right? But at the same token, it goes, well, why do I feel like I'm not hitting what I need to hit? Why do I feel there's something more? In one of our calls, they did to me what I do to so many clients and what I've trained our team to do with so many clients, and that is this. Take it back to the root. Take it back to what matters to you. And I can remember the statements. He said, Justin, what will it take for you to quit? Now, what's interesting about that is I've asked that question probably hundreds of times to others, and I've often thought about that question myself, but in that moment, I'd never given it gravity. I'd never given it everything that I needed in order to think through that. And now me, of course, I would probably come up with a trite answer, but I paused and I said, I don't know. Now, I often don't say I don't know. I don't. If I don't know something, I'll say, that's interesting, let me get back with you. But in that particular second, I don't know what it would take. He said, okay, we're getting somewhere. And I, at that moment, realized that I was experiencing what so many clients have experienced working with our team. This moment of exposure, authenticity is required, soul searching. And now I'm walking through this. At the same time, I'm dealing with Emily. A lot of different questions there, friends. Now, I've often laughed about the fact that in the past, people have offered to buy my business, and I'd say no. And I'd go to the beach with Emily, and she'd say, you can't come home. Your boys need to see you going to work, Justin. They need to see that you have a work ethic, that you have a vision, and you're not going to quit till you reach that destination. And we've had our light banter, but many times I conceded to her thinking. But that question of what will it take for you to quit? My question to myself, Justin, what's another $1 million matter? At the same time, I'm watching my wife. At the same time, I'm watching a business explode. Unbelievable. And I began writing down, what do I want my life to be? You know, for so many of us, over a long period of time, it's what do we need to do to earn enough money to support our families? But I think in every person's life, there's a point to where money moves off. Now, it may have taken me longer than it's taken you. I deal with money every day of the week. I talk with people about money nonstop. So maybe it took me a little longer than it takes you to answer that question. But for me, it came down to impact. And the question that was asked me of, Justin, if you had unlimited time and unlimited resources, what would you do tomorrow that you're not doing today? And I came to the statement, I want to pour into people's lives with my knowledge and experience. I want to stand on stage, not because I like fame, but because I'm not scared of public speaking. I love it, which is automatically makes me weird because that's the number one fear of any human out there. But I love getting on stage and taking an audience and providing hope and sharing experiences, life knowledge, and trying to help an audience reach their destination. I love sitting behind this microphone, pouring my life into this microphone, knowing that whomever is listening to this voice today, that you're either shaking your head yes or shaking your head no, or you're waiting to hear where I'm going to announce. Because my podcast is not one of entertainment. It's one that is an experience, as I often say, the financially simple experience. I want you to take something and apply it to your life so that you can impact others. That's what drives me. And as I began answering Patrick's question of, Justin, what would it take for you to quit? Emily and I, sitting in a hospital room, would take and we would write down a list. What is it that we want? We'd write down, we want to see the Northern Lights. We want to see the Maldives Islands. We want to see Bora Bora. We'd write down various things that were financial, Then we go to our family. We want to see our kids reach this. We want to go to our health. We want to have this in our health. I want to take some jazz piano courses, some more jazz piano. I want to get back into that. And we started writing these things down on what do we want. And after a period of time, I brought those to my consultants. And one of the things that David DeSalle told me, he said, Justin, what's interesting is I don't see anything about business aspirations on here. Now, of course, I had things like I wanted to see my team reach their potential. I did. I had those on there, but I didn't have any numbers, which was unique for me. Typically, I'd be the guy saying, we want to hit this particular number by this particular date. In order to get there, I'm going to give a process, a game plan, a linear process to reach that goal. But in this time period of my life, I didn't have that. We came down with one number that we would need as a financial position, the wealth gap, if you will. This is what we had to reach as a family to meet our financial goals. And you know me, I'm backwards engineering. I'm running every different calculation. I'm running what happens if inflation moves, what happens if tax moves, and we reach this number. And I tell the number to Patrick and David, and they started laughing, and they said, you don't understand. You blew past that number a while ago. This number that I'm trying to reach, my number, my wealth gap number, Justin, you blew past that a while ago. You don't think you truly understand the value of what you and your team have created. It was in that moment, it was like the world stopped. They introduced me to a gentleman by the name of Alan Darby, who, for lack of better words, is a consultant to try to figure out what the value of your business is and how to team you up with perhaps investors out there. And I start talking with this gentleman by the name of Alan. He tells me the value of my company. I said, there's no way. Man, I grew up on a dirt road in South Georgia, and I live on a gravel one in East Tennessee. There's no way. Yeah, Justin, way. So, friends, I want you to get this picture. My wife has a near-death experience, but for God's miraculous grace. The business is exploding in a time when many businesses aren't. I'm faced with this question of, what will it take? What is the next chapter in your life? So I began talking with my team. Friends, here's what I'm facing. Here's what I'm worried about. Here's what I'm concerned about. And we made a decision. Middle of 2021, August-ish, 2021. It's time for me to make a change. Whenever I say that, I fully couldn't grasp what that meant at the time. I don't even think as I'm recording this in March that I fully grasp what that means. See, just like you, I've poured everything into my companies. Blood, sweat, tears. Literally. I can remember not too long ago looking at the pantry and it being empty. Wondering how I'm going to feed my kids. You've been there. Not too long ago. I'm talking about less than 5 years ago, friends. Less than 5 years ago. I can remember saying, how am I going to feed my kids? And coming to the office and making sure employees were fed, not letting them know that I'm not sure I'm going to be able to pay my mortgage today. To go from that in a very short time period to saying, you have closed your wealth gap. It's time for you to think about something different. It's surreal, friends. So last quarter, Q4 of last year, I decided it was time for me to partner with a larger organization. It was time for me to sell my interest in Heritage Investors, Heritage Business Advisors, and Financially Simple. And friends, I got to tell you, I've made the ultimate sale. That's right. The very book that I wrote about years ago came true. The very things that I teach about and I poured into your life about these 8 areas of business that I've learned through my training, through the corporate value growth methodology, the corporate value metrics, the CVGA course that I have, Certified Value Growth Advisor, those 8 key areas of planning, leadership, sales, marketing, people, operations, finance, and legal, all those things that we've been working as a group, that I've been spearheading as a leader, that I've been trying to pour my vision into this own company while I share it with you and say, hey, you can do this, led me to the point where an outside investor was looking inside my company saying, wow, you're best in class. Wow, you built a dynamic team. Man, your team is exceptional. There's that people part. They're trained. They're able to teach others. We want them. The planning and leadership. Wow, Justin, the way that you've orchestrated this out, we want you to work as an executive with our team on the bigger company. We want you to work with us and help us do for our bigger company what you did with your company. Planning and leadership. Sales and marketing. Justin, we want your marketing team, your sales processes, everything you built through Financially Simple. We want to bring that on board and grow that to make a national presence. Wow. We want your team. We want your systems. We've looked into your systems. Your systems are pristine. We want you to take your systems and work with our operations experts. Look at what we have. Look at what you have. And let's figure out a way how to make the company systems best in class at the level to which we operate. Look at your finance, man. Look at your EBITDA. We're willing to give you this multiple on your business because of the overarching theme. A best-in-class valuation. Wow. So in December of 2021, I signed definitive docs. And Heritage Business Advisors, Heritage Investors, and Financially Simple, the assets of the company are being acquired. And all these episodes that I've been walking you through about success is the attitude and the emotions of a sale and what it takes to get ready. If you go back in your now podcast history of the last 10, 15 episodes, is me. It's my life. It's everything that I've experienced. So friends, I want to leave you with this. You can reach your goals. If this old country boy, born and raised on a dirt road from South Georgia, who was barefoot half his life chasing alligators or chasing raccoons in the marshes of Glenn County, Georgia, can reach his goal, you can. Friends, I live on a dirt road in East Tennessee with gravel. Sometimes you have to have four-wheel drive to get to the house. I drive a Kubota tractor on the weekends just for therapy. I don't have some big Ivy League education. I have a degree from the University of Phoenix and a degree from Abraham Baldwin Agricultural College, which is part of the University of Systems of Georgia, a degree in grass, and a degree in business. If I can reach my goals, I know me. If I can reach my goals, you can. So the exciting news I have is that I have made the ultimate sale. I have applied what I teach on the blog, in Your Baby's Ugly, in the Ultimate Sale. I've applied it in my own life. And I have walked to the table, walked through the discovery process, watched through the due diligence, gone to the closing table, and reached my ultimate sale. Now, we're going to talk in the next few episodes about what the future looks like, but I want to let you know that if I can do it, you can do it. You say, man, Justin, wow. Yeah, wow. It's almost surreal, friends. It's been emotional these last 90 days, emotional beyond measure. And chapter 2.0 for Justin Goodbread and our family and our business is, I can't wait to see what God's going to do. I can't wait to see what opportunities come up. In our next episode, I'm actually going to interview the buyer. You're going to hear what the person or the company who bought me, You're going to hear what they saw. And friends, as you listen to what they're saying, as you listen to what they saw, I can almost, and I don't know how he's going to answer the questions, I can almost bet that it's everything that I've been teaching through this podcast for the last 4 years. Friends, if you need help, we have a team of people that can help you. I'm not talking about pure theorem. I'm talking about I have personally done this. I have personally walked this path. It's been said you can't lead somebody where you've never been. Well, friends, I've been there. I've got the t-shirt and the marks to prove it. Some of them are scars. Some of them are still bleeding, but I have them. So friends, I've made the ultimate sale. I've made the ultimate sale. And I wish you and your journey the ultimate success. Because if I can do it, you can do it. So y'all stay tuned. I can't wait for you to hear the episode where we interview the buyer. Until next time, friends, I realize life is hard. I do. Man, but life is good. We are blessed beyond measure. And it can be frustrating, but it doesn't have to be. Let's continue to make our lives at least financially simple. Hey, y'all stay tuned. Next week's going to be a trip.